welcome to my screencast. So in this video, I'm going to address the people that are saying you use Arch Linux, but you're not using the tile window manager. You know, what is the whole point of Arch Linux? Arch Linux is basically being yourself, being creative, making your system what you want it to make it into what you want it to be. That is the whole idea of Arch Linux, is to be, it's basically a lightweight system that you make it to what you want it to be. It's not a pre-configured distribution like Manjaro or Fedora or Ubuntu. It's like Gentoo, and you just basically set it up exactly the way you want it. I know that there's these whole big new community of Arch Linux users that they have this norm of, if you're an Arch Linux user, you have to be a ricer, you have to use a tile window manager, and you have to be that kind of person if you want to use Arch Linux. As in, back in the day when people use Arch Linux, people use Arch Linux because it was lightweight and it was simplistic, and you make the system the way you wanted to make it. No one ever told people what to do with their system. They never said, I use Arch by the way. They just used it and enjoyed it. That's it. This whole new Arch Linux community is really weird, to be honest. I'm going to say really weird. You guys have a bunch of posers, man. Because I don't need to use a tile window manager. I know how to use one. Does it make me a smart Linux user if I use a tile window manager? No, it's preference choice. I like KDE. I know it's a little janky, it's buggy. I'm well aware of it. But I like the desktop environment. I really like KDE. I've been a big fan of KDE since the beginning of me starting Linux. When I first started Linux, it's always been with KDE desktop and GNOME as well, but mainly KDE. KDE was basically something I really always liked. I just didn't use it much over the past because of its bugs, and which lead me to window managers a lot. I tried a lot of different window managers. Believe me, I probably tried them all. You name it, I tried it. There's one tile window manager I don't really like, and I know a lot of people do like it. It's i3. I don't like i3 at all. I never been into i3, but I did play around with Austin for a long time until they done, I think it was version 3.5 when they changed a lot of things, so my configuration file did not work with the next release. So like all the work that I'd done in 3.4, when they changed things in 3.5, it just, a lot of things didn't transfer over, and I had to redo my entire configuration, and each release that they done would always screw up my configuration. I'm just like, you know what, I'm done with Awesome, and I hadn't went back since. And alleyway is kind of boring. But I will give you guys one thing. I did install the system with Hyperland, so I am very interested in Hyperland because it's a Wayland window manager, which is only through Wayland, and I do like this window manager. I'm learning how to use Waybar, and I'm gonna do my own rice. I ain't gonna copy someone else's dot file. I'm actually gonna do my own thing because that's what I do. Because I used to be a very big time ricer back in the day. Just because I use KDE and I don't use a tile window manager does not make me like I shouldn't use Arch Linux because I don't use this. People need to stop acting like this and have this state of mind. Really, you gotta grow up and basically just be yourself. Okay, I'm a guy that's from the Generation X, generation, and this is how we are. We are people that basically be ourselves. And we'll tell you straight up, like, if you have a problem with us, we'll be straight up with you. Okay? I don't need to follow the norm. I don't need to be like everybody. And I don't need to be like something because people use Arch Linux and they, I need to use a tile window manager. I use Arch Linux. I need to say I use Arch, by the way. No. Arch Linux is an easy, simplistic, keep it simple system. Okay? It's easy to install it. even manually, it is very easy to install it. Okay, like I wrote in one of my Reddit posts. I said Arch Linux is easy to use. Gen 2, you need to read the handbook. It's true. Because Gen 2 is not easy. Gen 2 is actually very hard compared to Arch Linux. But what's probably the hardest Linux to use and to set up is probably learning from scratch. But you don't hear anybody talk about that system. But Gen 2 is not as easy as Arch Linux, but it is a great system. And it requires a handbook, or at least make your own prep cheat sheet to actually set the system up. Arch Linux, I can set it up Arch Linux probably manually without even look at the handbook. That's how well I know Arch Linux. It's not hard to use Arch Linux manually or with the Arch install script. It's not a hard system. Maybe to some people it might be hard, but it's not a hard system. And just because you use Arch Linux does not make you an advanced user as well, because it's just a Linux system, and you don't need to use Tile Window Manager if you don't want to. It shouldn't be, it shouldn't be, shouldn't be something that's, normalized. Like, oh, you use Arch Linux, you have to use a Tile Window Manager. Yes, I'm an Arch user and I use KDE, and I don't theme it up. I just use a color scheme and that's it. And I configure the system with KDE stuff that provides me with their own desktop, and I just use what they have in their desktop, and I make my own desktop out of it. That's called being creative. Does anybody have that nowadays? Anyways, thanks for the watch. Cheers.